Hi, 8th grade students. This is Mr. Alford, and this video is help for homework number 3, the Number System Unit 1 review. I am making this video to go over some of the most commonly missed questions from when you guys did this assignment the first time. All right. So I'm going to look at problem 2. Okay, problem 2. I better read this. The formula for the circumference of a circle is 3.14 times d. D is the diameter. Kim measures the diameter of each of 4 pools in his neighborhood and uses this formula to find the circumferences in feet. The circumferences are plotted on the number line below. Which point best represents the pool with a diameter of 14 feet? Okay, so for example, point Q right here it's just a little less than 30. It's between 20 and 30. So Q is about 28. And so let's just say, well, what if my answer is Q? How would I know? Okay, well, it told us the circumferences are plotted on the number line below. So 28 is talking about a circumference of a pool. So if it's a circumference of a pool, that means that 3.14 times d, that's my formula for a circumference. Circumference is 3.14 times d. That means 3.14 times d gives me my circumference for this pool 28. Okay, so again, is 28 the circumference I want? Well, it tells us we want the pool with a diameter of 14 feet. Okay, so, well, let's think about it. What number would best go here for d? Okay, what number times 3.14 is 28? Well, 3 times 9 is about 27, so 3.14 times 9 is about 28. Okay, so for a pool with a circumference of 28, the diameter is about 9. But we want a pool with a diameter of 14 feet, so that's not going to work. So that's how we know that Q is wrong. I eliminated one of the choices for you. See if you can't figure out which choice is the right choice. Okay. Problem, okay. Let me look here at problem 3. Which irrational number below is approximately equal to 2? Is it the square root of 3, square root of 5, square root of 7, or square root of 8? I will look with you at square root of 3 and square root of 5. And you'll also have to think about if square root of 7 or square root of 8 is correct. So square root of 3 and square root of 5. So I did 1.7 times 1.7, I got 2.89. I did 1.8 times 1.8, I got about 3.24. This is something that you can do on paper, and you could use a calculator, but you really should do this on paper. 1, you should be able to. 2, on the Algebra 1 EOC, I talked about this in the last video, I'll say it real quick again. On the Algebra 1 EOC, you are going to have some questions where you don't get a calculator, and the Algebra 1 EOC is worth 20% of your grade in your 9th grade math class. So just keep that in mind. It's really good to know how to do this stuff. Not everything that you've learned in our class, but when I'm telling you, I will tell you specifically if you really shouldn't be using a calculator. So 1.7 times 1.7 is 2.89. 1.8 times 1.8 is 3.24. So 1.7 is a okay approximation to be the square root of 3. 1.8 is a okay approximation of the square root of 3, but which one is better? Well, another way of thinking of it is like this. Well, 1.7 times 1.7 was 2.89, so we want to know how close that is to 3. Because if it's closer to 3, then that means it's the best approximation then that means that 1.7 is the best approximation for the square root of 3. So let's find out how close 2.89 is to 3. So when we do that, we do 2.89 minus 3. Because when we do that, if we get a big number for the result, that means there's a big difference. Okay? If we get a really small number, that means there's a tiny difference between 2.89 and 3. So 2.89 minus 3, I actually already did that. That's minus 0.11, negative 0.111. So that's just saying that 2.89 is 0.11 less than 3. All right? Well, how about 3.24? How close is that number to 3? So when we subtract, that means we're finding the difference between 3.24 and 3. If we get a big result, it means it's a big difference. If we get a small result, it means that there's a small difference between 3.24 and 3. Okay, 3.24 minus 3 is obviously 0.24. That means that this number is 0.24 bigger than 3. So 2.89 is 0.11 away from 3, and 3.24 is 0.24 away from 3. So here the difference is just 0.11. Here the difference is 0.24. So which is the smaller difference? Obviously, it's 0.11. It doesn't matter, none of this matters about whether it's negative or positive. We're just looking at just if both of these were positive, basically, which would be the smaller number. This one is obviously the smaller number. So that means that 2.89 is closer to 3. Okay, it's less than 3, but it's still closer to 3. So that means that 1.7 times 1.7 is closer to 3 than 1.8 times 1.8. So that means 1.7 is the better approximation of the square root of 3. Square root of 5, you kind of have to do pretty much, or close to the same procedure. I already did 2.2 squared for you, and I already did 2.3 squared for you. And you do have to think again about, well, which of these two is closer to 5? Okay, so I will leave you to do the rest of that problem. Oh, okay. So there's help for 3. Okay, problem 4. This baseball season, Barry gets 2 hits for every 16 at-bats. That means he went to bat 16 times, and out of those 16 times, he hit the ball twice. Go Barry. This statement represents his batting average. Write his batting average as a fraction and as a decimal. Okay. So first of all, some people just wrote a fraction. Some people just wrote a fraction, and some people just wrote a decimal. I wanted you to write a fraction and a decimal. Okay. You can write like, here's your fraction, then the word and then your decimal. Okay. So here are 2 examples that are both really close, but aren't quite right. 2/16 is close for what you want for your fraction, but it's not right. You can simplify this fraction a little bit. Remember, when you simplify a fraction, you divide the top and the bottom by the same number. So simplify this fraction to finish that, to get the fraction you want. Okay, so, and then you still have to find the decimal that best represents the situation. 0.13 was something that a lot of people got actually, and you're close, but you're not quite right. 0.13, I can tell that you rounded your answer. You need to know when you're doing if you think that you should round, you need to actually make sure if somebody told you to do this problem, maybe your math teacher, or if you're in a lab, you're a science teacher, they will tell you if you should actually be rounding your answer or not. Well, if they tell you to round your answer, then yes, you round your answer. If they don't tell you to round your answer, then you need to not round your answer at all, okay? So the original answer had 3 decimal places, and this answer right here has 2. And for some people in their situation that they are in, 3 decimal places is what they need, okay? Or in other situations, 2 decimal places is good enough. But sometimes you don't know their situation, and you still need to give them your answer. So you need to give them as many decimal places as you can. And so that's why you should not, somebody rounded their answer to get 0.13, and that's really not right. Please don't round your answer, okay? Last bit of help. We need to talk a little bit about terminating decimals and repeating decimals. Terminating means to stop. So like 0.3 right here, the decimal place stops. There's 1 decimal place, and there's no more after that. We stop. 0.521, there are no more decimal places after that. The decimal places stop. 0.333. This really isn't a repeating number. There are just 3 decimal places right here, and then there aren't any more after that. Okay. So the decimal places stop. This is a terminating decimal. Okay, these here are repeating decimals. Okay, this little bar on top of that 3 says that we have a decimal place of 3, and that 3 just keeps repeating forever and ever and ever. Another way you can write that is also 0.3 dot dot dot, which is how you're going to have to actually write it for the Google form, because you can't do the little bar, the little ceiling bar in Google Forms. This right here says that 4 and 2 and 9 are always being repeated. 429, 429, 429, 429. This here says 0.4 and 2, and then it's just a 9 that gets repeated. Okay, so you just need to know that for this assignment. That's all the help I'm going to give. Good luck, guys.